Woo! It's cold. How y'all doing, man? How y'all doing? Alright. Today, what am I talking about today? Oh, yeah. So, I often hear people ask things like, I often hear people say things like, why would I don't want to give my life to God, and I get to the end of my life and God isn't real. People, what if? I hear a lot of what if questions from atheists or agnostics or people or Christians who aren't all the way in, What if I give my life to God? What if I do X, Y, and Z and God isn't real? As a believer, how do you respond to that? What do you say to that? My argument used to be, I don't want to get to my deathbed and be anxious and be scared. I don't want to get to my deathbed and be like, oh my goodness, bro, I live my life for myself. If there's a hell, I'm going to it. I want to avoid that feeling at all costs. That used to be my argument. Don't get me wrong, it's a good argument. It's a good argument. The better argument is that it's a much more fulfilling life to live your life for God and not yourself. Who knew you would be happier if you're not staring at a screen all day? Who knew you would be happier if you weren't watching porn? Who knew you would be happier if you don't smoke or drink? Who knew you would be happier if you gave more than you give? Who would have thought? Who knew you would be happier if you didn't live to satisfy your flesh, your senses? Who knew about the hedonic treadmill? You want something, you get it, and then the cycle starts over. But what you had is now not good enough, and now you're searching for something else. And it's a cycle, round and round and round. Who knew that satisfying our flesh will lead us empty? It turns out that living your life for God is the better life. I didn't know. And see, I'm not coming from a place of self-righteousness, of pointing the finger, because this was me at once. This was my how I rationalized things at one point in time. So don't think I'm coming at you like that. This is something I'm realizing with time that God is slowly showing me. But who would have thought? Who knew that? Bro, there's something in human beings that just want to worship. If you look at different cultures, throughout all of human history, we want to worship something. If it's a carved image, a statue, a golden calf, something, bro. It's just something in us that we just want to worship, bro. It's like we were designed to worship something, and it turns out if it's not God, it's something else. It's a television. It's social media. It's technology. It's a phone. It's food. It's a drug. It's alcohol. It's marijuana. It turns out if we're not worshiping God, we'll find something else to worship. And long term, it's detrimental for us. Long term, it hurts us. We'll find another person to worship. We might be in a relationship with somebody because we can't be by ourselves. We worshiping somebody else. But who would have thought, bro? Who would have thought that The correct way to live is in the Bible. If we live our lives like God planned out for us in the book, we will be happier. We will be much happier compared to living our lives for ourselves and living our lives to satisfy our flesh. We cannot satisfy this flesh. Trust me. Trust me, I tried. No matter what I got, it wasn't enough. So, to the people who have that argument, that what if I live my life for a God that isn't real, or the heaven and hell isn't real, people who have that argument, number one, what if it is real? Number one, we always rely on our own intelligence. We're always wise in our own eyes, and that's not smart. When I was an atheist, when I was an atheist, I would have put so much money on God not being real because it didn't make sense to me. It didn't, like, why? No. I was so confident, bro. And just like a lot of people are confident that have the same confidence that God isn't real, that the Bible isn't real, that heaven and hell isn't real. So confident, bro. But that will lead to our demise, being wise in our own eyes. As God tells us, do not rely on your own understanding. And yeah, so my first thing I would say to them, what if it is real? Number two, living your life for God, giving your life to God is a much better existence than living your life for yourself. A selfish existence, bro, is so miserable. An existence where you only relying on yourself, fulfilling the lust of your flesh, is so miserable, bro. That is not a good way to live. It leads to so much unnecessary just hurt, bro. Just hurt. That's really all I had to say. Y'all take care, man.